The Black Parade is the name of our new album coming out in October. The Black Parade is also the name of our alter ego on this record. This was a really difficult record to make, and there was a certain point where it was so dark for us that it felt like we needed to become much more than brothers. We had to be there for each other in many more ways, and we also needed to become a new band. Normally a band says that every time they make a record, and in some ways they become a new band, but we really did it this time and became a different band. But you know, make no mistake, we are My Chemical Romance still. It's just our alter ego for this record. The Black Parade is also the very basic premise of the record, which is when you die, I'd like to think that when you die, death comes for you however you want. And I feel that it's your strongest memory, either from childhood or adulthood. And for this particular character in this record called The Patient, his strongest memory is of being a child and his father is taking him to this parade. So when death comes for him, it comes in the form of a black parade.
Black Parade is actually the biggest mystery I have ever seen this band pull off. My Chemical Romance have invented the Black Parade. You can't really be sure what it is. It could be an album, it could be a song, but we are supporting it and we're trying to drum up some kind of mystery and sort of the theatrical edge behind My Chemical Romance as it is. People, support the Black Parade. Give me a cheer.
Unfortunately, My Chemical Romance will not be able to perform this evening due to unforeseen circumstances. They have expressed their deepest apologies. In their absence, they have asked their good friends to fill in for them.
Gather round, babies, and kiss this goodbye. I'd encourage your smiles. I expect you all.
19 years ago, My Chemical Romance released their landmark album on October 24, 2006, known as The Black Parade, and the world hasn't been the same since. This album concerns on a loose story regarding a man known as The Patient dying of cancer as he looks back on life in the hospital bed and eventually dies. The band's own lives even changed forever as they propelled into international stardom, with the album being at number 2 on the Billboard 200 and the UK Albums Chart. As a result of the success, they embarked on a tour known as the Black Parade World Tour, which ran from 2007 to 2008. During that very tour, and along with the initial promotion of the album, the band would dress as their alter ego, the Black Parade, as seen in the music videos Welcome to the Black Parade and Famous Last Words. Even though this was My Chemical Romance's big moment in their career, their lives behind the scenes was a different story, as members suffered burnout from the tour, injuries, and at one point, food poisoning. But despite all of that, the band managed to give their best and perform an incredible and memorable show. Eventually, the alter ego and the story of the Black Parade came to an end during the Mexico show of their tour on October 7, 2007, where Gerard officially announced to the crowd at the end of Famous Last Words that the Black Parade is dead, before the band officially perished into flames on the stage as the crowd went wild, cheered, and were just in awe by what they had saw. To every single fan of the band, it seemed like the Black Parade live would never be seen again. That wasn't until 17 years later after this very performance. On November 11, 2024, MCR announced a new Black Parade tour with initial shows being in North America in major states and their cities. Throughout the tour, more dates were given to some cities, and the tour slowly expanded into another world tour as the band announced that they would be playing in the UK, South America, and more states in the US. This tour provides a new storyline with the characters of the Black Parade, as the band is now being used as a military band trying to spread the message of their country, Drog, and overseeing executions and doing what their leader, known as the Grand Immortal Dictator, tells them to do. I investigated this very tour a few months ago, but recently the band had returned to the stage in South America to officially begin what is technically their second leg of the tour, even though Wikipedia says it is separate tour than Long Live. And to further add to that, I even went to one of the shows in Los Angeles to not only see one of my favorite bands in person, but to also see what kind of lore and B-stage set I would be getting into that night. Also, real comment, that concert was probably one of the greatest touring shows, including musical/play productions, that I have ever seen. Even if you're not a fan of MCR, I do recommend you go see this tour because of how wild it is theatrically. It is the biggest tour that they have ever done. So get your popcorn ready, because in this video, I will be exploring the current second leg of the tour, how it connects towards the Long Live version of the tour, and my own theory regarding what the storyline exactly is. Also, make sure you subscribe. Let's get into this. Some of you that are tuning into this video may not remember what I talked about in my last video, or may not have a complete idea of the storyline, so let me explain it real quick. The Black Parade from the North American leg of the 2025 shows is a military band for the country of Drog, an Eastern Europe, Soviet Union-esque country ruled by a dictator known as the Grand Immortal Dictator. The band during the show is directed by the dictator to carry out his requests during the show. One of the most notable requests of the dictator during every show on the first leg of the tour was that the band will hold an election where the audience would receive a card that at the majority of the shows would say yay or nay, but some of them also said chicken or fish on some nights, or some of them just had yay on it. The point of this election is that every show, the band will carry out, no matter what the audience votes for, the execution of the 4 prisoners who, according to Gerard, are trying to challenge the Grand Immortal Dictator's authority. And initially, when this tour started, it sparked some controversy from a small group of people, because this tour is really the first time that MCR has taken a more direct political overtone with their tour and work, even if they aren't directly saying anything political. Now, some fans have debated whether this is a commentary on what is currently going on in America, or if this is just part of the storyline. Regardless of the debate, the fans really love the theatrics of the show, and this band will go on to introduce new characters to enhance the storyline. Most notable characters were the Grand Immortal Dictator, the Clerk, Marianne, and her sister Sylvia. The storyline for this particular tour was revealed to be a time loop, which explains why the band keeps performing the exact same scenarios at every show, and at each performance they would act differently to break out of the time loop, which eventually they did during their last official show of the first leg of the tour in Florida on September 13, 2025. My Chemical Romance would go on to perform one more show as part of the tour at the Shaky Knees Festival in Atlanta, Georgia on September 20th, 2025 as the Black Parade, with a more condensed storyline to fit the festival timing. After this festival happened, the band announced that they would be extending the tour in 2026 with the storyline continuing. When it was announced, it was originally believed that the same storyline for the tour would be used again when the shows start, especially in different countries. But little did we know what we were in for when My Chemical Romance took to the stage for the first time in 2026 in Lima, Peru. 6 months after the initial announcement of the continuation of the Black Parade tour, My Chemical Romance took to the stage for the first show of the 2026 tour in Lima, Peru as part of the South America leg of the tour. This leg of the tour was also the first time the band had actually played in South America since 2008, ironically when the original Black Parade tour was happening. Early in the day, the band posted this cryptic video showing a monitor-like screen showcasing the word Phantom. This definitely hyped a lot of fans, even though this wasn't an announcement for really anything. The show hasn't started yet, but upon entering, the changes were noticeable as fans were handed out a postcard instead of a yay or nay sign. It's unclear right now as to why a yay or nay or any voting card wasn't passed out, but the only assumption I can think of is that South America probably has more limitations on what concerts can really do, like free speech compared to the US. Like, I genuinely don't know, but that's my only assumption I can think of. But at the same time, they could have genuinely added something new to the story regardless of location as well. As soon as the crowd enters the stadium, they are welcomed into a similar but also different stage for this tour. The first thing that is noticed is that the buildings that drag in the background from the 2025 version of the tour are no longer in the background. Now it is a screen depicting the set. Another notable thing that has changed is that there is no B stage for the tour. There's no red circle, nothing. The only stage is the main stage. The logo on the top of the stage is now at the left of the top of the stage, and in the tent near the sound mixer and cameras, there is no throne for the Grand Immortal Dictator. Another really notable thing is that at the top of the stage is a robot eyeball, which is likely going to be used during the show. The opening act that joined MCR for this leg of the tour was legendary Swedish band The Hives. After they performed, it was finally time for the band to come on. At the start of the show, there was new pre-show music. The previous pre-show music that was used was Patience and Prudence's version of Tonight You Belong to Me, but the one that was used for this leg of the tour was Mr. Blue Sky by Electric Light Orchestra. Believe it or not, this song was actually one of the few songs that inspired the song from the album, Dead. After Mr. Blue Sky played, the band would come on, but the music would crescendo into this dreamlike sequence while you see an older man sweeping the floor across the stage, who was played by Mike Cormier, who you might remember from the 2025 version of the tour as Marianne and Sylvia's father. This is also likely a reference to an older crew member who became popular with the MCR fandom known as Vacuum Guy. For those that don't know who I'm talking about, Vacuum Guy was an older crew member that would clean up the stage before the band would go on during the Swarm and Reunion tour. During this cleanup, the crowd would cheer for him, and eventually he played along with it, sometimes wearing a t-shirt with phrases that resonated with fans. It reminds me of when SpongeBob swept the stage in the talent show episode when I think of those moments. Then, as the man starts to walk off, the music becomes this very odd, calm music. It seems like the type of music that would play in the beginning of a sequel movie where it takes place after the villain wins and the good guys are taken to wherever the villains can hold them. As the music played, the nurses who were once in the Drag National Auxiliary Band, played by Clarice Jensen, Kaylee Goldsworthy, and Tucker Rule, who is also the drummer for the band Thursday, entered the stage, along with Charlie Saxton, who played the clerk in the previous version of the tour but is now a prisoner. The soldiers come in and bring in the Black Parade finally onto the stage. The band enters the stage, and one thing that is really noticeable is that they are wearing the original outfits. I'm not talking about the 2007 tour outfits. I'm talking about the music video outfits. There is a noticeable difference, by the way, with the tour outfit and the music video outfit, just so you know. As they enter, a buzzer starts buzzing. Then startup music is being played. Then a man who previously appeared as the Drag news anchor appears on the screen welcoming the prisoners and telling them to take their medication to start the day. After that, the Drag national anthem begins with Sylvia, who is played by Charlotte Kelso, singing the song, still sporting the eye patch from the previous tour but is now wearing a nurse outfit and a cape. The band begins the performance. After the song Dead, they go right into the song This Is How I Disappear. No dialogue like the previous version of the tour. After the song, the robot eyeball lowers to the band, where the eyeball gives instructions in the Drag language known as Kaposhka to the band, eventually taking a picture of the band on stage. Gerard is given a card to greet the audiences as they launch into the next song, The Sharpest Lives. After The Sharpest Lives, the Drag news broadcast guy, that's what I'm going to call him for right now because there's no established name as far as I know. And I tried looking through Reddit to see if there was any name, I couldn't find anything. He comes back on the screen and he starts to give this monologue about what it means to be a leader in the eyes of Drag in an attempt to reshape the identity of the Black Parade. After he says this monologue to the band during the concert, the song Welcome to the Black Parade starts. After the title song, they go straight into I Don't Love You, and then from there they go into House of Wolves, After House of Wolves, the robot eyeball lowers once again to bring out a couple items. The first item is the puppet known as the Gentleman from the first leg of the tour, aka Long Live. The second item is a postcard written to Charlie Saxon's character the Clerk, which is a message from his father on the other side of a river known as the Gubrick River, reassuring him that where he is at isn't bad. From the message here on, it launches into the song Cancer, and afterwards it launches into the song Mama. There are new visual elements with the set for the song Mama, as the set depicts TV screens showing individual characters. Now, the great people of MCR subreddit have pointed out that the people depicted on the screen are not only the band themselves, but also the Clerk, Sylvia, the Dictator, and the Secretary. With this information, it unlocks the question if the Grand Immortal Dictator is really behind the scenes of the power that he holds behind the Black Parade, or if his power just came to be because he, just like the band, was reconditioned. During the song Mama, the dagger section happens and Gerard talks about how the crowd is laughing at him, to which canned laughter from the PA is played. He talks about how he met the Gentleman, which is in puppet form, in the Molt, who gave him a song in return from something from Gerard. The song is the dagger section itself. After he sings the section, he introduces Sylvia, who carries out the outro section of the song. One thing to really point out is that Gerard, during the song Mama, mentioned something about his arcane majesty. This to me stood out, because wouldn't he have referred to the Grand Immortal Dictator since he is supposed to be the boss of them? What does he exactly mean by his arcane majesty? At the end of the song, the word Phantom from the cryptic teaser displays on the screen as the song plays out. After the song ends, the build-up transition music known as the Big Sky begins for Sleep, and during that, we are introduced to another monologue by the Drog News broadcast guy, which is a little longer, but the monologue, in my opinion, seems to know how to accept yourself as the world and your own personal life evolves. Now, this is interesting for a monologue, because if you apply it to the meaning of Drog in the Black Parade, this could mean that if we submit to the methods of the Drog government in the government's eyes, they can finally be themselves. But at the same time as well, it could also be a speech that could motivate the Black Parade later on in time. As we've seen from the previous version of the tour, they don't want to participate as this military propaganda band. However, this speech, if taken out of the context of Drog entirely, could be a potential message for fans as commentary for what is going on in the world and a message of hope. That's what I find interesting about these speeches, is that there could be a lot of context that the speeches could be applied to. From there on, the song Sleep begins, to which the red and blue lights flicker throughout the whole entire song. After that, the song Teenagers happens, and this is interesting because, like the last version of the tour, there are graphics that appear during the song. In Long Live, the graphics being shown were the Drog game show. In this version, a Mr. Rogers-like show known as Gentleman's Corner shows up on the stage with the human version of the Gentleman on the screen, along with an animated paper castle, which many fans alluded to the scrapped MCR album The Paper Kingdom being an inspiration, which it could be possibly, I don't know. After the song, the Drog News broadcast guy appears one last time giving another monologue. This time, it seems like he is welcoming someone into something, like a role. Now, this definitely applies to the Black Parade story, because this could be him welcoming the band into this new role as a military propaganda band, or them being reconditioned. During the speech, the song Disenchanted begins. After Disenchanted, there is now a speech from the Gentleman himself, in which it seems like he is holding up a mirror, especially to the band as he's speaking. But it also could be alluding to himself, as he talks about a figure sitting on a chair made of wood. And the puppet version of the Gentleman was sitting on a chair made of wood in the Long Live version of the show. It feels like he is speaking from the mind of being a puppet when you layer it with that context. From there, the song Famous Last Words happens, and there is pyro all over the stage. The song transitions into a reprise of Welcome to the Black Parade before ending the song in full. There is the reprise version of the song The End again, but this time a new arrangement has been added to the song, where it is now piano, violin, a cello, and a glockenspiel playing the rest of the song. On the stage, the Clerk is wheeled in on a hospital gurney, likely the same one from the original Black Parade tour. This is really interesting because now it gives us the theory that the clerk could be the patient. He looks at the lowered robot eyeball, which seems to play memories of his life during this instrumental section. After the song, Gerard gets on top of his gurney and stabs him as the song Blood begins to play, and the gentleman mimes the lyrics of the song in the background. The song eventually ends with an alarm clock ringing and the gentleman appearing on the screen making a big face as the screen turns to static. This transition from the Black Parade to regular show set is marked by a new and much more dramatic song played by Clarice Jensen, the cello player. The band comes back on after 10 minutes and starts the rest of the show with their hits along with some rare music, and that's the entire show. I'm not going to go into full detail on every single show, but I'm going to mention what changes occurred on every single night of the tour, considering I already talked about what this tour has to begin with. On the first night in Peru, I will be talking about the second show of the South America / Mexico tour leg, which took place in Santiago, Chile, for a couple nights. The first night of the show in Santiago starts off with a hyped crowd. The band comes on stage a little later than usual that night, and right off the bat, Frank pretends to take his medicine, but throws his medicine away behind his back. During the song This Is How I Disappear, Gerard breaks character for a second, laughing at Frank, one of the guitarists, for imitating Gerard's brother and bass player Mikey on stage. After This Is How I Disappear, Gerard is given a card once again and is trying to read it correctly, and is then called to the robot eyeball for the photo. He then greets the crowd by saying, "Good evening, it's nice to be here." Not a whole lot is different from what happened in the very first show on this leg of the tour, though during the dagger section in the song Mama, the Burning Man from the first leg of the tour has returned. During the transition, The Big Sky, Gerard and the clerk use the floor to play hopscotch. After that, everything else is basically the same. Even with the reprise at the end, nothing has changed other than the orchestral rearrangement starting to become slower over time as the tour progresses. The second night in Santiago starts off with Frank throwing his medicine up in the air at the beginning, trying to catch it in his mouth. After the song Dead, Gerard starts laughing, which is interesting. During the transition from This Is How I Disappeared to The Sharpest Lives, Gerard is given a card once again and tries to say the greeting but gets it wrong by saying, "Good applesauce, it is nice to greet you." The robot eyeball takes their photo again and Gerard now says, "Good evening." During the song Mama, Gerard, during the dagger section, for the first time on the tour, gives a chance for the clerk to speak when he asks how he is doing, and he responds with, "Very good." It's interesting how the clerk has adapted a Drog accent to him compared to the Chicago show where he is speaking an American accent to Gerard. For those that don't know, we can hear him and Gerard during the Chicago show from The Long Live. Like, look it up and you'll find it. The show progresses on as normal, and during the end reprise, Gerard now sports a lab coat during the song Blood when he stabs the clerk. The show in Buenos Aires starts off with nothing fully significant at the beginning. After the song Dead, Gerard starts singing a few lines from what I believe is a reference to the musical West Side Story, as he says, there is a place for us, you'll see, my friends. After This Is How I Disappear, Gerard greets the crowd by saying, "Hello, it is nice to be here." After the photo is taken, Gerard now has a more panicked look on his face as he says, "Good greetings, it is nice to be here." The show moves forward with nothing really significant to note at all. Even during Mama, it didn't have anything new to add, but what is significant actually happens during the B stage set as the band played To the End from the Revenge album, which they haven't played that song in 20 years. The next show takes place for a couple nights in Sao Paulo, Brazil. The first night of the show there starts off with Frank taking his medicine and then comedically placing it on top of the clerk's head, which I thought was funny. After the song Dead, Gerard starts singing, but it's unclear as he mumbled during his singing. During the transition to The Sharpest Lives, Gerard greets the crowd with, "Yes, I'll have some more." The robot eyeball takes the photo and Gerard then greets the crowd with a more panicked and annoyed face saying, "Good evening, it is nice to be here." During the dagger section in the song Mama, the Gerard and the Clerk jam out during an instrumental part of the song. At the outro of the song, Gerard starts to cry acting wise, and the rest of the show progresses forward as normal. The second show is where I believe the storyline starts to hit its peak point, and where we know as the viewer that we're getting close to how that part of the storyline is going to end. To start off, the show opens with the band entering like usual, and then immediately Frank gets his medicine, he chucks it, and starts kissing the Clerk all of a sudden. During the transition from the song This Is How I Disappear to The Sharpest Lives, and after the photo is taken, Gerard then says to the crowd, "Good news, America. The Black Parade is back in action." Already from there, we could tell that the Black Parade is starting to become what we already knew them as back in 2025. The rest of the show progresses forward with nothing particularly new for the lore. However, during the end reprise, Gerard keeps on his Black Parade jacket when he stabs the Clerk. The next stop of the tour is in Bogota, Colombia. The interesting thing about this show is that the date for the show was originally supposed to be the first show of the tour leg, but the band had to reschedule. It's not really known as to why the show was rescheduled entirely, but I think because of what happened in Venezuela back in January is probably what put the band to reschedule that date to now. At the start of the show, Frank tries to kiss the Clerk in a tease for the audience, but the Clerk rejects him. After the song This Is How I Disappear, Gerard greets the crowd with, "Bonjour, we are the Black Parade." The eyeball takes the photo and Gerard starts speaking in a different language that I wasn't able to pick up. It's likely the language Kaposhka, but I could be wrong. Now, after this was said, the card was thrown to the crowd, which someone caught it, and they posted the card online, which printed on it said "Rock and Roll Greeting," but in red marker it said "Help Us." During the dagger section for the song Mama, the Clerk and Gerard dance. The rest of the show continues on like normal, and Gerard sports the lab coat again at the end of the show. Now we arrive at the final two shows of this leg of the tour, aka the Mexico City shows. This is significant because MCR filmed the concert video known as The Black Parade is Dead, where they originally killed off the band a year of touring as them during the original tour. Also, fun fact, the original place where they killed off the Black Parade is actually across the street from the stadium that they were playing at. The first show starts with Frank and the Clerk drinking their medicine arm in arm. Gerard carries a skull on the stage with him, which is interesting. It kind of reminds me of Hamlet because one of the characters carries a skull during the show, so it could be a reference to that. At the national anthem, we now see the Grand Immortal Dictator himself, though a silhouette in this performance, has officially arrived to see the progress of the Black Parade. Gerard greets the crowd during the transition saying, "Hello, it's nice to be here," and greetings. The show progresses forward, but interesting things start to occur after the song Mama. During the transition, the Big Sky, the hopscotch that Gerard and the Clerk were doing, starts off to become a subliminal message where it now says SOS on it. During the song Sleep, a robot voice says the phrase "pigs have apples, not tomatoes," on Mars. While I couldn't really theorize what exactly this meant, it has been figured out what the Phantom Post was, as it was now revealed that it was an acronym the whole time. The show progresses forward, but what is interesting during Famous Last Words is that the song is noticeable in the set for having a bunch of pyrotechnics on the stage, but this show did not have any fire on the stage. Gerard talks about it during the B stage set that night, how there was regulations regarding that. Now we are officially on the final show, night 2 in Mexico City. Frank starts the show by throwing his medicine at the Clerk. It seems like he didn't take the rejection well from the Clerk. Gerard and Mikey take their medication together, which honestly is a wholesome moment. The Grand Immortal Dictator is present at the show as seen at the end of the Drog National Anthem. During the transition after the song This Is How I Disappear, Gerard greets the crowd by saying, "Good news, we are the Black Parade." After the eyeball takes the photo, Gerard then says the word "sometimes" repeatedly and then says, "Thank you for having us." Now, during the transition into the song I Don't Love You, we see the secretary reading something with a picture of the gentleman in puppet form on it. This leads me to believe that this is a newspaper of the moment in time when the gentleman became a puppet. The rest of the show progresses forward, but at Famous Last Words, this was when the greatest lie happened as the Fire officially returned to the stage. And not only that, the band launched fireworks as well. They were going all out that night. After the song, the reprise version of the end happens again. But this time, the Grand Immortal Dictator, finally present and visible to the crowd for the first time on stage, presents Gerard with something in the arms of the secretary. Gerard grabs it, and it is revealed to be the jacket he wore in Long Live, which is a big reveal because now it is officially confirmed that this whole leg of the tour was a prequel. As Gerard puts on the jacket for the first time, the Grand Immortal Dictator touches Gerard on the shoulder, and Gerard smiles for a second. The Grand Immortal Dictator walks off, and the secretary gives Gerard the dagger. He now, in the official Long Live version of the jacket, stabs the clerk, effectively ending the show. Gerard revealed during the B-Stage set that the very idea for the show, like being a prequel, was like the idea had come up because they logistically couldn't be able to do the B-Stage circle to the other country like venues, and that's all the shows from this very leg of the tour. Like any theatrical show with a storyline, we definitely have a cast that deserves credit. The cast for this tour, I will be going in order for appearance. The first person we see on the stage is the older guy sweeping up in the moat, who is played by Mike Cormier. Then we have the touring musicians enter the stage with Jamie Mahubrick, the touring keyboardist, and the original one from the Black Parade album, playing a daughter, and then Jared Alexander, the longest touring drummer for MCR, in a patient uniform. Could Jared be the patient? I'm just kidding, but I do think it is interesting that he is in a patient uniform. Then we have the four nurses enter. Three of them were originally known as the Drag National Auxiliary Band in the first version of the tour, which is all three is played by Clarice Jensen on the cello, Kaylee Goldsworthy on violin, and Tucker Roll, the drummer for the band Thursday, on drums. The fourth nurse that enters is Sylvia, the opera sister to Mary Ann, the opera singer who is blind but when singing can see everything from the 2025 version of the tour. She is played by Charlotte Kelso. Then we have a couple soldiers bring in the band. Initially I thought this was the same twins from the first version of the tour, but it is not, unfortunately. I don't know who it exactly is. I know for a fact that I believe the two of them are female this time. If anyone knows who played these soldiers, please let me know. We have a woman known as the secretary appear with the band walking on the stage and basically sitting on the stage during the entire performance. This character is played by Gemma Scoble. Then a man appears on the screen welcoming the band into the moat. This is the same man who appeared on the Drag News broadcast for the Mexico tour promos and before Disenchanted from the first tour leg. He is played by Igo Miquitas. During the show, we hear someone's voice as the father to Charlie Saxon's character when he receives a postcard. I unfortunately couldn't find out who played him. Like I said, if anyone knows, let me know. The last new notable character is the Gentleman, as seen during Teenagers and his speech before Famous Last Words. He is played by Brandon Joel Rothstein. At the last two shows of this leg in Mexico, the Grand Immortal Dictator reappears to overlook the Black Parade in their progress in the moat. The leader himself is played by Wayne J. The last time I made this type of video, I didn't make my own theory. I really just talked about these shows, tried to explain what happened, and listed some of the theories off the internet. Because originally to me when I did the other video, it was more so intended to be the Long Live the Black Parade tour for dummies, like the Facebook for Dummies book. That's kind of the angle I was going for, and it was also a video to simplify the tour for people in my life when I explain this tour because there's so much lore that goes into it. This video was originally designed to be a video where I could be like, here, watch this video and that way I don't have to explain it every time. To me, when I started watching this tour and the previous Long Live version, it really felt like a new season of this supernatural or sci-fi show. I genuinely believe that this tour is the wall tour for our generation. I love this tour and have a bigger appreciation and love for this band since following this lore. Whether it is from the Reddit posts or watching the No Cool Kids Allow Twitch stream of the show to catch up on the lore whenever a show happens. It's really cool just to see this community come together and give all of these theories, these amazing theories, honestly. It's really incredible. With all of that said, I'm now going to give my theory as I've thought it out carefully as I could with the context and information I've seen and heard. My theory is my theory. I directly can't speak on behalf of anyone else's theories, but it is your decision whether to believe in this potential theory with me or not. So here is what I have regarding the leg of this tour, going in chronological order from the patient side of the story to the Black Parade in the moat to the current Long Live. I believe that the Black Parade themselves wrote the story of the patient back in the day as a warning from Throg, and when the government caught up to their actions, they were sentenced to the moat for many years. The original story they wrote takes on a man known as the patient. The patient is a man who has made questionable decisions in his life, as noted in the song The Sharpest Lives, but he yearns to make a big impact in his life as he fondly remembers the time his father took him to see a marching band. Now, the city in the song is Throg, as seen from the background of the MCR Long Live version of the tour and the Welcome to the Black Parade music video. His father told him to make himself to be someone in life instead of being nothing at all, which the patient picks up well. The father passes away early on in the patient's life, and as a result of his father's death, the patient decides to take on those words. The song Teenagers was created by the band as a homage to the more direct propaganda songs from Throg to show to the Western world how the citizens of Throg were reconditioned to be a model citizen instead of being one of the teenagers, an analogy for being a delinquent. The idea of being a model citizen inspires the patient to join the Throg army. This isn't really captured in the story that well, but I believe he meets a woman in his life who is likely named Emily as per the demos from the 2016 reissue of the Black Parade. He joins the military and fights in a war, causing him to suffer PTSD set to the song Mama and also sleep. The patient eventually ends up being diagnosed with cancer and becomes terminal, leading him to being in a hospital bed, which is perfectly represented in the songs The End, Dead, Welcome to the Black Parade, and Cancer. I believe the patient became diagnosed early on in life because of the environmental conditions of the country along with the environmental conditions of the war. Before he leaves the world, he tells his wife to fall out of love with him during the song I Don't Love You. He dies during the song Dead, and the wife freaks out during the song This Is How I Disappear. The song House of Wolves is what he sees in the afterlife, but he also compares that there is not much of a difference between what he sees and the life he has lived prior, which unfortunately shows how tragic and sad the environment of Throg really is, if you think about it. Disenchanted, that song tells us that with everything that has happened to him because of the tragedy he's seen in his life with his father and what the conditions of Throg have subjected him to, nothing to him is really a shock anymore, regardless if he is dead or not. However, I believe at the end, Famous Last Words, the final song of the album, the band wrote this as an ending to the story of the patient to give people the hope of not succumbing to Throg and dying early on like the patient did. The bonus song Blood, I believe, is just a genuine dark comedy diss track of the Throg government. Now, obviously, it is just a story because in reality, a military band from an authoritarian society would probably never be allowed into the United States or any country unless the government agrees with their views to play any songs or do like a big tour. This ties in the prequel story from the second leg of the tour in 2026 because the Throg government, once they caught up with what the Black Parade was up to, they faked the band's death as a big fire, dragged them off stage, and deported them back to Throg. The fire was a diversion, not to cause any international incident. Now, obviously, in this version of the tour, Bob Breyer, the original Black Parade drummer, who is no longer with us, is not part of the story. But there have been subtle hints regarding the fate of his role from the Black Parade, especially when the Throg soldiers place wheat in front of the drum set from the Long Live version. I'm gonna believe that in the storyline Bob's character had died the night the Black Parade was killed off, or sometime after, and when Long Live happened, it was a tribute to Bob Ryder's character. While I do wish that there had been a bigger tribute during this tour for Bob, despite him being a controversial member of the band later on, I am glad that they acknowledged him during the B-Stage transition in Chicago where Bob was born. The band is eventually sent into the moat, where they meet the other prisoners who are working along with the band to be reconditioned. Medicine that will make the band become model citizens of drug. The reason why the show is the same every night for this leg is because the duration of time it takes for reconditioning to take place. When the first version of the tour was announced, it was 17 years since the Black Parade died and was sent to the moat. Thus the process of the reconditioning taking 17 years. I also believe that this reconditioning will make the band immortal, hence their leader, the Grand Immortal Dictator, being reconditioned as well early on in life and him being immortal. Charlie Saxon's character, known as the Clerk, is in the moat with them as well. While it is unknown to how he appeared there along with the Black Parade, I believe that his father was captured and put into the moat as a war criminal from the same war that inspired the patient's narrative on the conditions that they suffered. The Clerk receives a postcard from his father telling him that Kubrick is really not bad, which makes me think that his father is sending a message letting him know that the reconditioning isn't as scary as he thinks and that he and father and son will be together again. The reconditioning itself begins around the beginning when the band is taking medicine given to them by the nurses and also during the song Sleep. I find that song interesting because red and blue lights are flashing intensely, and it makes me wonder if this could be a reference to Head First for Halos from the first album, where Gerard in that song references mental health medication in this songline, and I quote, "And now the red ones make me fly, and the blue ones help me fall." MCR could have used any strobe lighting for this song, but they ended up using red and blue lights. While this could just be a coincidence, I don't think it was. Another thing to point out is how the band is being reconditioned in the moment. It looks on the screens when each member is shown that they're being subjected to images as part of the brainwashing process. This reminds me of an episode from the Back to the Future game where there's an alternate timeline of Hill Valley being a police state and the Doc Brown in the version is forced to bear images as part of the brainwash. While I am 100% confident that MCR wasn't inspired by that moment at all, it is interesting to see the familiar narratives I can find within the story and other media I've seen or read. Once the reconditioning has been completed in the end, the Grand Immortal Dictator officially promotes the band to be the official military band once again, giving them new jackets. Gerard then attacks the Clerk, which I believe is actually a vision instilled into the Clerk's mind as he starts to go a little crazier, which leads me to believe that this is how the frenemy relationship with Gerard will begin. As a result of the completed treatment, he sends them on a new mission by having the band make an exhibition of a military show for Western society with him attending. He takes the songs originally written by the Black Parade and revises the meaning behind it with changes to the scenery and the staging without the band's notice. The reason I believe that the Grand Immortal Dictator is behind this is because one song, and that is Welcome to the Black Parade. In that song during Long Live, we see Gerard get on a podium and sing the intro of the song like he is giving a speech. I believe that the Dictator is responsible for reinventing the meaning of this song by believing that he is the father as mentioned in Welcome to the Black Parade, and the child is either the citizens of Drog or the people who work for him, including the Black Parade. It's interesting to also think about it because it reminds me of another great story that isn't related to MCR in any way at all, but I don't know, maybe like Gerard or one of the members has seen it, and that is Wicked the musical. Now, how does Wicked tie into this? Well, the story of the musical, along with the original book, is commentary on fighting fascist regimes, with the fascist leader being the wizard himself. In the song A Sentimental Man, the wizard talks about how he sees himself as a father to the citizens of Oz. This leads me to believe that the Grand Immortal Dictator from MCR has the same kind of vision when in power. But one other thing about this band is also interesting, because in Long Live, the band is effectively stuck in a time loop. How is that possible in real life? I believe that the medicine given towards the band also induced short-term memory loss into the system of the band to avoid questioning and reset for the next performance, like controlling a robot basically. Now, even though we have been given a great amount of lore and storyline to work with, the tour isn't over yet, and as I'm making this video, the tour will start up again in May 2026 for a couple shows in the US, before heading to the UK and Europe for a set of shows there, and then heading to the US again for a set of shows, and then ending the tour in Asia for a set of shows there. I personally hope that we can get to see the Grand Immortal Dictator visit more countries during this tour, and we'll get to see the Big Red Round Circle B stage again outside of the US. So far, that's all I have to say regarding the Black Parade and where they currently stand. If you like this video and want to see more potential content like this, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. I will see you all next time. Bye!